people, how are you doing? This is KhaazRa once again, and I am literally sitting here with, so long story short, I'm doing a video recording on a Canon G7X. I am also recording from my iPhone, and I'm recording using a software called Audacity. So one part of this would be for a podcast, another part would be for, I guess, my iPhone, and then another part will have a little better quality with the G7X. And this is not the way to do it. I am not a camera audio person whatsoever, but I'm going to have other people help me once I get finished with this particular project. You know, maybe some people are going to do the transcription of it or transcribe it, and some people will maybe touch up the video. I'm not really sure. I went to a Brendon Burchard Expert Secrets Academy conference like last year sometime. And after that, you know, they basically, well, actually I went to another 10K program with his after that. It's a 10K for one day, and they said you didn't need to have any products, you didn't need this, you didn't need that. The only thing you needed to do was be willing to sell, which I do all the time anyway. So I went there and, you know, paid my 10K, and at the end of the day, I was kind of pumped up, but when I got home, I was like, oh my God, it's way more stuff to do than what he said. But I remember Brendon saying, do everything yourself. And that may work for some people, but I'm not like a rookie at business. You know, I actually run a full-fledged business with my partner. And the one thing that we've learned is not to be you can't be the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. You can't do everything yourself. That is one way to actually fail at business, have burnout, and actually be out of business. As a matter of fact, I remember reading, I think it was E-Mastery or E-Myth or something like that, by Mr. Gerber, Michael Gerber, and he was saying that, matter of fact, I'm sorry, I think it was Chet Holmes out of Ultimate Sales Machine, and he says that 97% of all businesses go out of business within, I think it was either 5 years or 10 years. And Gerber has some similar reports as well. So here I am, and I got all this information at that event, and I haven't really implemented much of it because it was just too overwhelming. It was too many other software programs to use. It was this, it was that. Of course, I could have just, you know, used a flip phone like Brendon said he did many eons ago. But I don't know. I don't know how productive that would have been. So anyway, I got kind of like caught up in trying to do all these different things. And I also bought some lights that are freaking crappy lights. These were the lights that were recommended. And it's possible that I just don't know I don't know lighting very well, but I've been told by a couple professionals who've had the chance to come in my space that these are not good lights. So I don't know, that's the point of not being a jack of all trades. So here we go. What I want to talk about today is something that I've been studying. I'm in a program, and well, first of all, let me just back up for a second. I know I'm all over the place here. So currently I am running a company with my partner called Electronic Commerce. And we have we got quite a few sales consultants, maybe a total staff of maybe, I don't know, say 70, 80 people or something like that. And a lot of them are actually what you call entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs, you know, where for our sales consultants at least, we provide everything for them so that they can do what they do best, so that they won't get caught in the, let's call it the rat race of trying to do everything. You can't be the salesperson, the marketing person, the tech support, the customer service, the risk, the underwriting. You can't do everything. It's impossible, literally, to do everything. So we provide the entire back office for them. We started the business, I don't know how many years ago it was, but I'm assuming it's been at least 6 or 7 years, right? It just seemed like it was yesterday, but I'm assuming 6 or 7 years. And we started this business without any loans, no venture capital whatsoever. No, we didn't have any mastermind groups. We couldn't afford the $10,000 and the $25,000 mastermind groups that you see out today that probably are valuable, but we just couldn't afford it at that time. And we didn't have any mentors. We only had, I want to call it vultures, which were the big banks and big companies basically trying to take advantage of us, and the credit card processing companies just basically taking advantage of us. So we basically, you know, rolled around in the mud, and we kind of fought, and we went through it, and we're here today where we're at over $62 million per month in sales revenue. And initially, I guess we don't give ourselves enough credit at times, because I didn't think it was a big deal, to be honest with you. But looking around and kind of looking at how other companies are started and how much capital they're given. Like if you think about Jack Dorsey, who runs Square, he gets $150 million loans, like, giving out free water. I don't know who he knows or how he does that. But, you have a piece of Visa owning that. You have Chase that owns a part, or Payment Tech rather, or Chase Payment Tech, whatever. They own a part of that business as well. And there's so much capital given to actually run the business. So you start off with a $150 million loan, you're going to be able to do a lot of stuff. But it also means that you are beholden to those who put up the money, quote unquote, also the shareholders as well. So we don't want to go that route. We want to be for our clients and also for our sales consultants. So we don't want to force sales consultants, because think about it. If someone gives you a $150 million loan, or even a $10 million loan, they want triple, sometimes 10x that money within maybe 5 or 10 years. That means you have to go out and do a lot of stuff that you probably would not normally do. Sometimes it turns into an unethical situation, and sometimes not. If you think about it, First Data is the largest credit card processor. Well, actually, I think as of last month, maybe Vantiv is right neck and neck, or either they have surpassed them. But First Data was around for a while, and then a company called KKPR gave them this huge freaking loan. I don't know how and who in their right mind signed that deal, but it put them in so much debt. And it's almost like, how can a company that's like the gorilla of credit card processing be in so much debt? So, long story short, I personally, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to just be truthful about it, I think First Data has become so freaking unethical in so many aspects, where they're doing things that I don't think they would normally do unless their backs were against the wall. And you see it with large companies, you see it with small companies, and it becomes an unethical situation. So that's not the topic of my conversation, but I just want to give you a little bit of background about where I am. What I want to talk about today is, how to make the hardest thing to sell easy as giving candy to a baby. And it may sound cliche, you hear, it's easy as taking candy from a baby or giving candy. I want to say giving candy to a baby, because who wants to take candy from a baby? Who wants to be that person? So let's say it's as easy as giving candy to a baby, because a lot of people say, oh, sales is so hard, and I don't like rejection. It's just too difficult. You have to go through 1 million people before you can get a sale. There's just so many barriers that we put in front of ourselves. And I think about it when we recruit our sales consultants. A lot of them have extreme concerns about being able to sell. Will they make the money? Is there a base already? Is there a salary? There's so many doubts that come into our mind. I think about it myself. I had those same doubts when I first started off. I was actually working at an elementary school. I worked my way up, literally, you can almost say from the French fries at Burger King to maybe managing Burger King. But I worked my way up. I started off as a volunteer at an elementary school in Orlando, Florida, literally making no money. I had no money, had no other opportunities. I had a college degree. I had a degree in finance, and also had a degree in engineering technology, and I couldn't freaking do anything with it. And I'm not a freaking genius guy, so it took me a lot to get those degrees. And here I am working volunteer at a summer school program, actually, or some kind of like Title I, which basically means it's ran by a grant. And so I'm working this program, and then I became the administrator, which is basically keeping the books, what time the children come in, what time they leave, what time the staff comes in, what time they leave, just kind of keeping track and making sure that if pencils were ordered or whatever was ordered, that, it was accounted for, just that kind of stuff. And I guess I did a good job, because then during the summer they asked me to come on, and guess what? They gave me a job in the after school program. So check that out. Here I am with a college degree, finance and engineering, and now I am working in an after-school program, an elementary after-school program in a quote-unquote Title I, which means a very impoverished area, which basically means the hood. It was literally next to a project area. And this is where I'm working. So I worked for like maybe 3 or 4 hours in the evening, or in the afternoon rather, into the evening. And I think I was paid, I think maybe $10.50 an hour at the time, maybe a little bit lower. And hey, something is better than nothing. So I did that for about a year, I think, or 6 months, and then they brought me on, or maybe 6 months or so, 4 or 6 months. Then they brought me on staff at the school itself, because the other program was it was separate, but it was the same. So they brought me on staff working for Orange County Public Schools, that's it. And then I think they gave me a title of assistant, some kind of assistant to the classrooms, you know. But I was doing so many other things. Oh my God, I was doing everything under the sun. I was doing everything. And then basically, I worked my way up into what they call a technology coordinator, like the year after that. So I think I might have like put my dues in for like 2.5 years before they gave me a full-time gig, making I think maybe $28,000 or something like that. And I did that for like 2 or 3 years or something like that, till possibly up to $38K, and this is before taxes. So I left that comfortable position after all that time. I had 2 small children. They were both literally, and my son was in like all kinds of activities. He was in basketball, he was in baseball, he was in dance, he was in chess. He was doing so many things. He was living, you know, a really good child's life. He had more than I had. My daughter, she was in dance, and I forget what else she was doing. She was traveling all over the place. And, you know, the income that I made wasn't a lot, but it was enough, at least so that they can have, you know, a decent life. And then we had an apartment and like 1 car. I was the sole breadwinner. And so I left that position because I felt so frustrated. I felt like the world was just gonna crush in on me, because I'm like, I cannot continue to do this. I just cannot continue to do this. You know, you get in at 7:30, you leave at 4:35, doesn't matter how hard you work. You know, it's like the same monotonous type of work. There's so many politics with, you know, education system, and you know, if the school is good, if the children all score, you know, have great scores on their tests. If it's a bad school, if not, you know, the children came from a lot of broken homes. There was so many other issues involved. So anyway, long story short, I left that position literally for a 100% commission gig, literally 100% commission. I remember my children's mother saying, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" And honestly, I wasn't sure. I found the gig online. I told the school that, hey, listen, my auntie was sick. I need about a month or 2 months or whatever. And after 30 days, you lose your position. They can't hold it for you more than 30 days, I think. And I think I had 1 check left, which was a check for maybe $1,000 or something like that. And that was just enough to pay my rent for the next month. So so the company actually, believe it or not, one good thing is that they paid for me to fly to California for a 2-week training. I got to the airport and I missed my flight. So I had to take $600. I didn't have that much money. I had to take a credit card, I'm sorry, and pay for another ticket. And I was like, oh my God, and the ticket was like $650 or something like that, $650. So paid for the ticket, got to California, did my training for a week. The second week, you just kind of like did ride-alongs, they call it, where you go out with other sales consultants and see how they sell. And so I did that for 2 weeks. I was out there starving in Cali because I didn't have any money. Flew back to Florida and hit the ground running. Now remember, I'm used to a gig where you go, you punch in, you clock in, you know, you clock out, you know, the principal is calling you on the radio, telling you what to do all day, and teachers are like, hey, you know what, my computer doesn't work. I'm like, I get to the classroom and just pull the plug in and turn the power on and it works, you know, just all kinds of simple stuff, but you know what you're doing throughout the day. So I get back, and now my job is to go out and actually cold call, which I'm not good at and didn't do, or just do door-to-door business. You know, just go to do door-to-door sales. You just walk in like, oh, hey, I'm Kaz and I'm here to help you. And you know, they gave us the pitch and they gave us this big fat notebook and a binder of just like, you know, a presentation or whatever. And so I wasn't having any luck whatsoever. No sales the first month. We're getting into like a month and a half. And in another week or two, was rent was due, my car insurance, you know, the children's activities, all these bills were due, and I didn't have any money saved up because I barely made any money. I was living check to check, literally speaking. And I remember thinking to myself, what am I going to tell my children? Like, should I even go home if I don't make any money? Should I just act like something happened to me? You know, I was gonna act like someone kidnapped me or something. I came up missing, or I just start walking and just walk from Florida to like another state or something like that, and be like, oh, I've been looking for work. I didn't know what to do. I started to get pretty discouraged. And I remember when I was in California, there was a guy who had like 12 sales in like 1 week or something like that. And I'm like, damn, let me call and let me just talk to this guy. And he told me, he's like, listen, man, just go out there, keep walking, keep knocking on doors, don't give up. He said, it'll happen for you. And there were maybe about 20 people who started with me, and most of them had fell off as well. As a matter of fact, out of 20, I think it was 25 people, or maybe even 30, only 2 of us lasted out of that entire group. But anyway, finally, so I'm walking in a city called Claremont, which is maybe 20 minutes away from Orlando, depending on where you live. And I'm just going door to door, and something just, you know, I was just so discouraged. It was super hot. And, you know, I'm walking around with this big binder and just getting rejected. And then I remember calling him, and he told this particular guy, I can't remember whatever his name is. And I remember him saying, just don't give up. And one thing I remember about him is that he looked like just a regular down-to-earth kind of guy. So I had this epiphany, and I was like, you know what? How about if I not act like a robot? How about if I, first of all, speak to the client who already has something that they need? Because I wasn't really selling anything. You know, in the field of sales period, but in this particular field, in merchant services, or in anything, you go to people who already are interested in what you have. And let's say, for instance, someone who, I can't go to a bodybuilder necessarily, not a health-minded bodybuilder, and try to sell him a freaking Big Mac, because he knows it's not healthy. But I can go to that bodybuilder and sell them a freaking veggie burger or some kind of freaking protein sandwich that's going to help, you know, keep his muscles right and all pumped up and stuff like that. That's an easy sell for me. And it's the same thing with merchant services. You know, you may walk into one business and the person is like, you know, well, you know, they just signed up with the freaking bank. They just signed up with the bank, right? They may not need your services. And there's a way still to actually get around it, and I've done that plenty of times, but they may not need your services. So when I walked into businesses, instead of just automatically walking in and just started knocking them over the head, well, I can save you money, I can do this, you need that, like the regular spiel that most salespeople do, what I did was, I walked into the business and I treated them as though they were my family, and I actually got to know them. And then once I heard a problem area, so I had to build rapport, and I got to know these people. Literally within these few minutes, sometimes if you just shut up, people will tell you what their biggest issues are. And once I found out what their issue was, it was literally easy as giving, or some people would say taking, as giving candy to a baby. It was so easy from there, because if you listen, everyone has a complaint. Most people complain, especially businesses, especially those who don't want to pay anything. There's a lot of businesses who don't think they should be paying anything for anything. And there's some people, especially different cultures, their method of business is to basically make sure that you don't make a penny on anything. They basically want everything for free. So, and I love those kind of clients, and I love all clients, to be honest with you, who have issues, because once you find out what their main issue is, it's so easy. So you go to people who are already interested in what you have to offer, who already have an issue. Let's say it's a woman, right? And you know, the woman who has everything, you know, people say, oh, you know what, I can't afford her, or, you know, people are buying her this, they're buying her that. In most cases, sometimes those are the easiest women to pick up, because those men who are buying these women are probably buying other women as well in many cases. So they're probably not giving them what they actually genuinely need, which is attention and love. Because if one man can buy a woman just all kinds of extravagant stuff, I'm pretty sure he can do it for the next woman. And sometimes it's a way to, I hate to veer off on a different topic, but I've seen it many times where, you just buy people for a little while. Let's say, think about James Harden. I read something, he was paying his girlfriend like $50K a month, like $50K a month. 50 freaking K a month. Now, of course, she's gonna be with that guy for a while. Who would leave if somebody's paying you 50K to be their girlfriend? But do you really think he has the time to give her what she really needs, which is attention, love, understanding, and maybe even some communication? I mean, think about that. So how would you approach her? You would, first of all, you would build that rapport in any way you could. Maybe it's just a simple hello, it's a smile, how are you doing? How was your day today? You spark the conversation, but the whole objective is to get her to communicate with you. Get her to communicate with you. Once she begins talking, she will eventually tell you what her issue is or what she really needs. You can maybe find out about her parents, maybe the dad wasn't around, maybe he was abusive, maybe he passed away early, maybe her previous boyfriend never paid her any attention, who knows, there's so many different things. So once you find that, then you hone in on it, and boom, you go for quote unquote the kill. So in merchant services, what I did is once I found out the merchant had a problem, oh, I'm paying too much, or I have this machine that doesn't work, or I call customer service and I always get India or the Philippines or something like that, and I can't understand what they're saying, and they're talking to me from a script and they're not really nice, or just any different issue, or I talked to the sales rep and that day they were all over me, and after the moment they brought the equipment and left, I haven't been able to get in contact with them then. Boom. All you do is you magnify whatever their problem area is. And believe it or not, I've been actually learning some of this stuff, but I was already doing it. Not to say that I'm a genius, but I guess naturally I had learned how to do this stuff. And I come from a really, really interesting area in Detroit, Michigan, where you have to learn these survival instincts. So you figure out things a lot quicker than you would normally need to. So that's one way to make the hardest thing to sell really easy, as, like I said, giving candy to a baby, is to hone in and you find out, first of all, you go to people who are already interested in what you need, and then you find out where the problem area is. It's basically that in a nutshell. Some people are online selling all kinds of products, and that's pretty easy. People who are selling online, they already know that other people want to make money. That's a problem. So you go to people who want to make money. That's it.